All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the most productive, most powerful, and honestly, the most overlooked workforce on the entire planet. And no, we're not talking about people or robots. We're talking about microbes. So if you think of them as just germs, get ready to have your mind changed. We're about to see how they're the invisible engine that makes our world run. Just think about that for a second. An entire army of workers shaping everything from the food on your plate to the fuel in your car, and you can't see a single one of them. Well, that's not a what if, it's reality. And today, we're finally giving these unsung heroes the spotlight they totally deserve. Okay, so let's get into it. The field that makes all of this possible, it's called applied microbiology. And this isn't just about, peering at bacteria through a microscope. No. This is about harnessing their incredible tiny powers to create things we use every single day. This is where science really gets its hands dirty, putting these little guys to work for all of us. So where do we actually see this invisible workforce in action? Well, let's start somewhere we all know and love, the kitchen. Turns out, microbes are some of the world's absolute finest chefs, and you've definitely been eating their delicious creations your whole life. Let's take yogurt. It all begins with milk, right? First, it's pasteurized to get rid of any unwanted microbes. You gotta start with a clean slate. Then, the real magic happens. The master chefs are added in, specific bacteria like Streptococcus and Lactobacillus. These guys immediately get to work, feasting on the milk sugar, which is called lactose, and turning it into lactic acid. And that acid is the secret ingredient. It causes the milk proteins to clump together and gel, giving yogurt that thick, creamy texture we all know. It's a culinary masterpiece happening on a microscopic level. And yogurt is just the beginning. I mean, look at this. The same type of fungus, yeast, that turns grape juice into wine is also the key to making fluffy bread. Then you've got a totally different fungus, Aspergillus oryzae, which is the secret to the deep, savory flavor of soy sauce. And that sharp kick in your salad dressing? You can thank Acetobacter for turning ethanol into vinegar. It's just an incredible display of what these tiny specialists can do. And yeah, we can't just breeze past bread. That amazing, light, airy texture? That's all thanks to baker's yeast. As the yeast eats the sugars in the flour, it burps out carbon dioxide gas. And all those tiny gas bubbles get trapped inside the dough, forcing it to expand and rise. That's what creates the perfect spongy structure of a great loaf of bread. Oh, and here's a fun one. Ever seen xanthan gum on an ingredients list for ice cream or salad dressing? It sounds like some weird artificial chemical, right? Nope. It's actually a goo produced by a bacteria called Xanthomonas. It's an amazing natural thickener, and it's just another perfect example of a microbe working totally behind the scenes in our food. Okay, so let's step out of the kitchen and look at the bigger picture. Because microbes aren't just master chefs. They are also, without a doubt, the world's most effective cleanup crew. And they're tackling some of our biggest environmental disasters. When we have a huge pollution problem, our usual methods, using machines and stuff, can be super slow, incredibly expensive, and really disruptive to the environment. But bioremediation, that's using microbes to do the job. And it is a total game changer. It uses organisms that are already there, which makes it natural, way more efficient, and a whole lot cheaper. And this team, wow, it has specialists for pretty much any disaster you can think of. A massive oil spill? No problem. Bacteria like Pseudomonas literally eat the toxic oil for lunch, breaking it down into harmless CO2 and water. What about our huge plastic bottle problem? Well, scientists found a microbe called Edionella sacchayensis that can actually decompose the plastic they're made from. Even acid rain that pollutes our soil can be neutralized by bacteria that use the nasty sulfuric acid as an energy source. It's incredible. 92. What's so special about this number? Well, it's the atomic number for one of the scariest elements on Earth, uranium. And believe it or not, we have a microbe that can handle that too. Near nuclear sites, there's a risk of radioactive uranium salts dissolving and getting into our groundwater, which would be a catastrophe. But this amazing microbe, Geobacter, performs a kind of molecular magic. It changes the uranium from a soluble form into an insoluble one. Basically, it locks the radioactive waste in place so it can't spread. Just wow. So microbes can feed us, and they can clean up our planet. But they can also help us grow our food way more sustainably in the first place. They're basically farming's tiniest, most powerful allies. For decades, we've just been dumping chemical fertilizers on our fields, and a lot of that pollutes the soil and runs off into our water. But there's a much smarter way to do it. We can use microbial inoculants, which are basically just cocktails of good microbes that help plants grow naturally. So how does this actually work? Well, farmers can spray these microbes right onto the seeds, giving the plant a living, beneficial shield as it starts to grow. Once they're in the soil, they act like tiny personal assistants for the plant, supplying it with nutrients and improving the quality of the food. Not only does this stop pollution from chemical runoff, but some of these microbes can even destroy harmful pesticides that are already lingering in the soil. All right, finally, let's look to the future. After feeding us, cleaning our planet, and helping us grow our food, this invisible workforce is now being recruited for one of our biggest challenges yet, our need for clean energy. We're talking about biofuels, and you can see the potential right here. On one hand, you've got methane, a useful fuel that microbes can make just by breaking down our waste. Then there's ethanol, a clean alcohol fuel that yeast can brew up from things like molasses. But look all the way to the right, hydrogen. It has the highest energy potential by far. It's often called the ultimate clean fuel. And incredibly, some bacteria can produce it using nothing but sunlight and water. And this really gets to the heart of it. These aren't finite fuels we have to dig out of the ground. They are truly renewable energy sources created by living things that we can work with forever. This is what the future of energy looks like, and it's being built by the tiniest organisms on Earth. So, from our yogurt to our bread, from cleaning up oil spills to locking down nuclear waste, and from making our farms healthier to fueling our future, microbes are the unsung heroes that literally built our world. And now they're helping us save it, which just leaves one question. What incredible challenge are we going to ask them to solve for us next?